Hello NR426 programming students. In this video, we will take a look at how to download and install PyCharm, the IDE we'll be using for class. So we'll take a quick look at how to download it, creating a first project, and what is a project, and then how to set up the interpreter so that PyCharm can see the arcpy library that we need for most of our exercises. If you plan to work on your own computer, you will need to make sure that ArcGIS Pro and PyCharm are installed. So that's something you'll have to make sure you do on your own. If you're working in the computer lab, Pro and PyCharm will already be installed, but you will need to do the other part of setting up the interpreter. So how do you get PyCharm if you are installing on your own machine? You can just Google, good old Google, PyCharm Community Edition download or something to that effect. And PyCharm is an IDE made by JetBrains. So you can go here, install PyCharm. And as of fall of 2025, the current version of PyCharm is PyCharm 2025. In the computer lab, we have an older version. So notice up here, you can go and get an older version. So if you want it to match, if you want your own laptop to match what we have in class, I would recommend downloading an older version and you want the community edition. If you are tech savvy, on the cutting edge, then you can get one of the newer versions, but just be aware that the newer versions don't have a community edition anymore. It's all one unified product. So you would go here, you would go to the download page, way down here, standalone installation, download the installer, and then from here, hit download, and that will launch the download. So that's how you would download, pretty straightforward to install. After you get it installed, then you need to set it up, which we will talk about now. All right, once you get PyCharm installed, you'll need to open it for the first time. And what PyCharm uses is something called a project, which is really just a folder that knows it contains Python scripts, and it kind of keeps them together, sort of. So you can see the folders in the browser of PyCharm. So you will need to create a project. Just really point to the folder where you plan to create scripts. That's it. And then you'll need to configure the interpreter. So let's go into a remote desktop. So this is the same setup that you'll have in the computer labs. And you can just do a search for PyCharm. So here we have the Community Edition 2023.2. When it opens up, it's asking you what you want to open. So you can point to a project or a folder that contains Python code, or you can create a new project. And by setting a new project, what you're saying is, hey, this is a folder that will contain Python scripts, and then every script you create, it will default and save into that folder. So I will make a new project. And I am going to save it. Make sure you save things to the right place. Just for ease, I'm going to save it to my files. After setting the location of my project, then I need to tell it where my interpreter is going to come from. And I want it to be a previously configured interpreter. And the interpreter is just the location of the Python installation that contains the libraries that we want to use. And if we're using ArcPy and ArcGIS tools, then we need to set it to something very specific. The one that's defaulting to here, Anaconda 3, that does not contain ArcPy. If you do the dropdown, you will probably see nothing else in this list, but if you happen to see one that says ArcGIS Pro Py 3, that is actually the one that you want. On this machine, it's remembering something I've done a while back. But if you have nothing here, then what you need to do are these steps. Add interpreter, add local interpreter, choose system interpreter from the left, and then hit the little triple dot button over here and browse to the location, it's a very specific location, of where the ArcPy Python interpreter is. Hopping back to our slides here, this is the full path. This is also listed in Canvas and on the screen. and in the YouTube video comments, so it's a few places, but you need to browse to this big long location. And this location here contains a python.exe that can see the ArcPy functionality. So back into here, we are going to browse to C, Program Files, ArcGIS, Pro, Bin, Python, envs. And then when you get to ArcGIS Pro Py 3, look at the bottom of the list, and the python.exe is the one we want. And now the OK button is lit up in blue. Hit OK. So I'll make that wider so you can see the whole thing, but that's where you want to browse to. Hit OK. Hit OK again. The libraries will load, and now PyCharm, when it runs code, will use this installation of Python, and it will be able to see the ArcPy libraries that we need. So I'm going to hit create. Now I'm creating a new project with that interpreter. Create from existing sources, sure. Close the tips. And now by having a project pointed to, in this case, my files folder, every folder that I have in there, I can see it. I can expand folders and I can see code if I know where to go. And so all of these now are Python scripts, and I can open any of them up and then see what it looks like. The next thing you want to do is test your setup to make sure that it worked correctly. So I recommend, rather than trying to run a script, go down here to the left and open the Python console right here. When the Python console opens, it takes a moment to load, but the very first thing we see here is the path to our Python interpreter, and we know that that's the correct one. Then in here you get your console window, which is like a command line prompt, so you can type in code. The very exciting 2 + 2 will give me 4. I can do something like type in a string variable for our mascot, Cam the Ram, and then do name.upper. And it puts it all in capitals. So that's how the Python console works. You enter in some code, it executes it right away. What we want to do right now is test to make sure that ArcPy actually will work. And so ArcPy is a library or a site package. We have to import it into the Python session with the import function. Import ArcPy, hit enter, and it will take a moment. But if it returns no errors, then it means that it worked. And nothing happened. It gave us a new prompt, which means there are no errors. So ArcPy is good to go. So now I can write scripts up here in my script window, or I can do code line by line in the console, and I can make use of that ArcPy functionality. So last thing to mention here, what if you use a different computer in the lab? The setup we just did is per computer, per user. So if you move to a different machine, you'll have to redo these steps to set up the interpreter on the new machine. So if you're in the computer lab, it definitely makes sense to try to sit in the same spot every time, or just know how to set up your interpreter, make note of where it is in Canvas, and you'll get some good practice if you move around a lot. So now hopefully you understand how to download PyCharm, and you only need to download it yourself if you're trying to get it onto your own computer. And then no matter what computer you're working on, you will have to understand how to set up a project and set up the interpreter for it, and then how to test it.